Your culture is based on the people you hire. You can't spend the money that you don't have. $1,000 in investment to a company that's worth 150 million. Sales is all about like relationships, and it's all about helping people do things that you shouldn't.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Sound of Sales. In this episode, I have a conversation with Guillaume, who is the founder and CEO of Lemlist, a bootstrapped startup from Paris. His company is worth over 150 million. Listen carefully and enjoy the show. So for the people that don't know about Lemlist, I don't want you to pitch Lemlist, but how would your parents or your friends describe what Guillaume does for a living?
I think they would say I'm an entrepreneur that helps people build and grow their business in a profitable manner.
All right. That's pretty clear, I would say. And how many users are you currently helping, and where in the world are you based? Like a little bit background stuff on that.
Yeah, sure. So we have more than 10,000 companies using Lemlist worldwide. We are in about 86, 87 countries. And the biggest chunk of our user base is in the US.
All right. Cool. So a lot of time zone things that you have to take care of.
Indeed.
How do you manage that? Do you have all your people locally in Paris, or do you spread them across the globe to tackle that?
So we are based mainly in Europe, but not everyone is in Paris. I would say that maybe a third of the company is in the Paris office, and otherwise we've always been pretty like remote team from day one. So we kept that in our DNA, and I think like when COVID hit, it was not a big change for us, just because we had been remote for most of the time of the company.
Yeah, and if you go into that growth mode, so you've been profitable for quite some time now. You have to keep that under control. Did you always work on making sure that your culture wasn't affected by the budget constraints maybe that go with bootstrapping?
I think like your culture is based on the people you hire. Like you can't force a culture on a company. It doesn't make sense. The culture is created by the persons, and we've always been like hiring when we could, and we hired people we wanted to do things differently. I feel like constraint to me is not something negative. I think it actually pushes people to be more creative. Like if I tell you like I don't know, like that you only have paper and two boxes to play football, then you will be like, oh no, I can't. I need a ball, etc., etc. However, like you could just take paper, do like I don't know, you take few boxes to create like the goal, and then you have like the paper to make the ball, and you can play. Like that's what a lot of kids can do, and I think like this is the same with building a business. When you have more constraints, you think like, okay, what can I do that people who have tons of money are not doing right now, and how can I focus on that? And when we started, we focused basically on building relationship with people, on building a community, on trying to bring as much value as possible, just because we knew that every other companies we were competing with had like hundreds of millions in fundings, and that they prefer, like spending their money on ads, trying to organize like huge events or sponsor people, etc., etc. Whereas on our end, we preferred just building these relationships and focusing on people that we could help.
Yeah. So for the people that are not familiar with bootstrapping, it basically means you start with your own money and you keep doing it, and you grow with the revenue that you're basically making, right? I can imagine it's quite a challenge to like work with like the budget thing and with hiring people. Like, how did you tackle that to go from three founders? How do you get from three to where you're at now? Of course, now you are profitable, but take me back to the beginning. How did you manage that early on?
So first things first is you can't spend the money that you don't have. So we had like no other option. We started with $1,000, just enough to get like the servers running, and then we had the chance to build a tool that allows us to do more sales and sales prospecting. So we were basically eating our own dog food, and I was the only one like using our tool to just like create sales prospecting campaign, meeting with people, trying to bring value, and potentially down the line create partnership and close customers. So that was like one thing that we started. And once we started to make a bit of money, we're like, okay, maybe now we can hire like freelancers to do, let's say, like 1 day of work per week. And step by step, we started like being able to maybe hire a bit more people, pay ourselves a salary, and step by step, we started, like to invest a bit more in the people. But to be honest, like my two co-founders who are a bit older, like they're like two tech brothers, like they're co-CTOs kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like for them, they always said that they were always telling me like, we should be able to do all the things ourselves. Like we're not forced to hire people. Like hiring is just like more problems. It's management problems, etc. Because my one of my co-founders was basically like CTO of a video game company for about like 10 years. So he managed like hundreds of devs overall or something. And for him, it's like he didn't want to go that route. Like he enjoyed like doing. He enjoyed like so and on my end it was different because I was the only one in charge of the business, and down the line you feel lonely. So you're like, okay, I want people I can brainstorm with, I want people I can exchange with. So we grew, I think, to like 1 million in ARR by being just 5 people, including my two co-founders. So it was very, very like little, and we had no employee. It was only like contractors. So and then after that we started to have like full-time employees, etc., etc. And then that helped us to scale to 10 million and above. So it's been quite
awesome.
quite a journey.
Yeah, I think if I would Google best bootstrapping startups, I don't know if there are lists for that. I've never Googled it, but I can only think of one company that went to 10 million above ARR on $1,000. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
I am. Before I became a startup founder, I was doing a little bit of research. I wanted actually to write a PhD on bootstrapping. So I'm really familiar with how it goes and what goes in it, like crazy. And you were actually the only one selling it, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it was just me.
Just you.
Yeah.
Like, what drives you? On what are you made of?
I don't know. I think again, I feel like constraints is all you need to become more creative and do all these things. And in full transparency, at the very like beginning of Lemlist, I really like I was checking, in the media, and I could see like all my friends raising like millions and this type of thing. Mm-hmm. And whenever I was telling my friend that I had a startup, everyone was saying like, "Oh, great! Like, how much have you raised?" And I was like, I haven't raised any money. And they were like, oh, okay, so it's not a startup. And then I was like, oh, okay, thanks for making me feel like a shit.
But actually, it's just a company that you built. It's just like,
yeah,
it's a solid piece of company.
Yeah, right. But back then, like I really felt like, okay, I had to raise money, etc. And I started having chat with VCs and investors, and they were telling me, in the early days of Lemlist, they were like, man, you've got like 1,000 competitors. Why you? I don't know you. You haven't done shit before. You're pretty much like a nobody. So basically, I was hitting doors and doors and doors and doors. And one day, I received a message from one of our customers, who was basically telling me, "Hey G, like thanks a lot for helping me setting up these campaigns and the tips you gave me. I actually closed like 3 deals. We're now making like 80K per month." And I was like, what the fuck? Like, seriously? First, I was like, man, I'm a bit jealous of what you've been doing. But then in the end, I was like, this is the type of feeling I want to have, like having people being grateful for helping them and being able to impact people's life because that person was able to hire more people, build his business. Yeah. So from that point on, I think, like Simon Sinek, everyone talks about it, like with you need to know your why, etc., etc. For a long time, I thought it was a bit bullshit, but in the end, you were asking me what drives me, and what drives me is when I see like that I can change people's life, helping them become like profitable, build a business that they love, and do things that they are passionate about. That's a driver.
That's a big thing indeed. Now, if I bring this back to your team, so in the beginning, you have to play soccer with two boxes. I know the hiring market is insane nowadays, and I think in the last couple of years it was more or less the same. It just got a little bit worse, maybe, but people have a lot of expectations when they come onto the job market. How did you tackle that in terms of your culture, like in terms of wages and all those things? We don't have to go into details, but how did you sell your vision to new people? Like if there's somebody listening, they just launched their company, they don't have any budgets or a little budget, how would you go about like advising a person like that?
I think that people don't join a company for benefits. I mean, no, I need to rephrase the sentence. I think that the most talented people I know don't join a company for only like the benefits you would get on just like a money standpoint, or I don't know, like a ping pong table or video games or unlimited holidays and all these type of things. I think that the best people and the most talented one I know join companies based on the vision, the mission, and what it can bring them on the intellectual level. And if you focus on hiring only the smartest people, only the ones that are the most passionate, what you can ensure to other people applying to your company is that they will be hanging out with the smartest people out there. And this is when you do this type of things, and when you try to be like very, very like strict in who you're hiring, and you have like this a strong culture that you can actually attract more people without having to compete that much on wages, etc. And then again, to me, it's the same. It's as in sales, hiring, it's exactly the same. You need to define your ICP, so ideal customer profile, which is for your employee. If you take like our dev team, we have a team of developers. They are all French, and they have all more or less the same profile. Adults, 20 plus years of experience, living in outside of Paris, usually like countryside, in a house with their family, really enjoy remote. And it's not something that was very common back then, and it's still not for a lot of developers. And then we just want to work with super smart people in an exciting environment. And if you look at this, then if you look at the person working like at Lemlist in the developer team, it's exactly that. So people can really like project themselves and saying like, okay, maybe I can join maybe this startup, that's paying me like twice as much as money, but I'm going to be with probably like managing young developers that are going to make ton of mistakes. It's going to be like a pain in the ass, etc. Or I could be like with a super smart team, maybe less people, maybe getting a little bit less of money, and actually we pay like really well, but maybe like the conditions are a bit different. But at least I know they have like very strong values. I know that they don't talk bullshit. I know that it's really like a company I could picture myself working for a few years. And then once you have that, it's just easy to attract talent.
And it sort of clicks together as a family, I would imagine. If somebody joins that team and it fits that ICP perfectly, it's like, oh, I'm home.
Yeah, that's what we try to do. Like having the family spirit is something we like a lot. But yeah, definitely.
That's super nice. Do you do Google Maps search? Like, where does the person live? Is it a farmhouse or is?
No, I don't stalk people.
Make sure they fit it. make sure they fit every box. Awesome. But who does the hiring? Do you still do that?
Yeah, of course. I meet people usually at the final round. So my co-founders and I we do like the culture fits. And which is always like the last round, and yeah, for business, or I would hire like people for key roles, for example, where I would spend a bit of time. But now we have actually created a people department, people and culture. So we have people who are actually like doing like hunting and trying to find like the top profile we want to have in the team, etc. And then after that, there is a process where it's, I would say, we always do a technical test, whether it's in marketing, sales, or and then it's a few meetings with the team, and we try to go up quite fast whenever we want to hire people.
Awesome. And how many people do you currently employ?
Right now we are around like 40.
Nice. Quite a growth. Quite a growth.
And so hiring about 25 people right now, so it's
awesome. So that will bring more mayhem to the show.
Exactly.
So for the people that don't know Lemlist, so you actually, it's 3 years and a half that you exist right now?
Yeah, exactly. 2018.
10 million plus ARR. Nice. That's great. So it's fresh from the press. You just, the 3 co-founders, you sold a bunch of shares, 20%, 150 million valuation. Congrats on that again. But I want to tackle why you did it. Risk and peace of mind, I think I read.
Absolutely.
How did you tackle the process? Like, did you went in with it with the idea of doing that, or did it just was an opportunity that came onto your path and you thought like, yeah, that's life changing?
No, it's just that I was looking at the company we were building. So we actually, like, during these 3.5 years, we also grew another company to about $600,000 that we sold and exited. And now with so Lemlist is not actually the company. The company is named Lempire, and we have multiple projects. And I was wondering, like, okay, we started like from zero with almost nothing. We spent a lot of energy and time to build something that is quite exceptional and crazy. You know, like, we're super lucky to be in that spot. But the truth is, as a founder, as you grow, you understand that the more revenue you're making, the higher the valuation of your company is. But as a founder, you don't know anything. Like, the valuation is just like it's in the air. You know, it's not it's nothing. It's not in your bank account. So when someone is telling you like, yeah, I've built like $1 billion business, etc., I'm like, okay, great. Like, how much money do you have personally? And they're like, oh no, we get the money during the exit. And I know a lot of founders who never exited. You know, like their company was worth. A friend of mine, like really good friend of mine, his company was worth 400 millions, and then it ended up worth zero, like nothing. And I asked him, like, how much did you get? And he's like, he didn't want to talk about it. And then he said, okay, I didn't get anything. I just got my salary, which was not a really good salary for years, and that's it, you know. So then, you know, I realized, I was like, okay, like it put actually more pressure on me, because it means that you don't want your company to fail. You really don't want the company to fail, because you have so much more to lose now. But the truth is, like, the bigger your company gets, the more things to lose you have. You know, it's like the more things you have to lose. And it's crazy, because you're like, shit, you know, like, I'm doing something I love, etc., etc. But I still feel this pressure of, you know, like, not of risking too much, when actually you could just release a bit of pressure, be much more confident, and become much more ambitious. And at that time, you know, like, I had a chat with Growth Expedition Capital and Ollie and David, so the VCs. And I told them, you know, like, I don't want to fundraise. I want to stay bootstrapped. I love being profitable. I love the way we handle the business. And then they were like, okay. I mean, we don't want to touch the business. You know, like, you went from $1,000 in investment to a company that's worth 150 million. This is a journey we want to be part of. It's not something where we want to change things right now, etc., because we believe in you. We believe that the company will worth more than $1 billion, like, in a few years. Let's go on this journey together. And then for me, I was like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You know, we're gonna get enough money that we don't have to worry ever again about the money in our entire life, and we can just like keep growing. And the truth is, what I've realized is, as soon as we did that deal, my 2 co-founders and I became much more ambitious. Like, we started to structure ourselves. So it's like, okay, now the new goal is to get to $100 million in annual recurring revenue in the next maybe like 4 years, 4 to 5 years. So let's go, like let's do this. Let's structure our company so we can achieve these results. How are we going to make it? And then, everything comes down to that plan, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine that moment. It brings ease of mind to like, all right, now we can go to exponential growth mode and take the risks, because in the back of everyone's mind who is a founder, it's like, what if, right?
Yeah.
What if it works out? Then all is good. But what if I lose it? That's yeah.
Yeah, and that puts a lot of pressure as your company gets bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Like, yeah, that's insane. Well, how do you think with Lemlist, you want to go to 100 million ARR, you can go even higher. I think if you reach 100, sky's the limit. But how do you think the world of sales will evolve in those years?
It's a good question. I think we're not ready for what's coming next. We've been working, for example, on a new project within Lemlist with AI and copywriting and AI and all these type of things. And the power of it is quite scary, in a sense that it's really right now almost impossible to differentiate an AI from a human. So that's something that's going to dramatically change. But something that will never change is that sales is all about relationships, and it's all about helping people. And to build relationships and help people, you need to meet with them, you need to get in touch with them, you need to set that meeting, you need to do all these things that will evolve for sure, in the way it happens. But I do feel that in the end, we will always be human, and the way we do and the way we make our decision when it comes to purchasing something, it's often very emotional and not that logical. And the truth, it comes down to this relationship. So for me, yes, of course, sales will evolve, especially with technology and all the mean to set this meeting up, etc., and do these things. But in the end, the sales process and how things, it will stay. It has been the same for years and years and years, even though some people are always trying to pretend that things are changing and it's dramatically different, etc. In the end, the essence is the same.
Yeah. A thing that you do notice, though, in the last couple of years is that a lot of people have I'm not sure how to say it in English, but you understand French, they have a dégoût.
Okay. They're disgusting by
From the moment that they see on your LinkedIn profile you're a sales rep, it's like, I don't want to hear from you. How do you think that will evolve? Because will they become more human again?
I think that first of all, it's sales rep should understand and help their audience understand that they are more consultants than just a sales rep. Because that's true that, whenever there is a sales rep reaching out to you, you feel like, okay, that person wants to sell me something. In some cases, it's fine. On other, you're like, oh shit, another sales prospecting message, I don't want that, etc., etc. So the idea is, okay, how do you manage? I don't think that sales should hide themselves from being sales rep. But I do think that, maybe instead of having SDR or hardcore closer on their LinkedIn profile, maybe they should put something a bit more genuine about what they do and what can they do. So it's I help, and then you put your mission. So I help SMBs get more deals or qualified or whatever.
Yeah, indeed. And how do you set up your sales team for that success? How do you make sure that they don't knock on doors that don't open for a sales rep?
I think my view on how sales teams are built is a bit different. I love what I call full stack sales cycle, which is essentially someone who go from A to Z, so reaching out to the person, building the relationship, and then closing. I know a lot of people don't like this system because they think that it's better to have SDR, AE, and then CSM or whatever.
Yeah. Do you think, sorry to interrupt you, but do you think with a larger size of Lemlist that it will still be possible to do the full stack SDR type position? Or do you notice that you need more on the top of the funnel or more account executives that make sure that people can renew in time and that sort of stuff? Or how
I
do you
think so.
tackle
I think it's I think it's possible. I might be wrong, and only like time will let you know about it. But no, I think it's possible. I think like everything can scale. Like your content team can scale, so why not your sales team? Even though they are full stack, it's like you just need to define location, geography, etc. Like in the right way, and then people can build their network on specific areas or specific topics, and then have this kind of like. It's just like you need to see a business, especially whenever you do sales. You need to understand that it's like having multiple businesses. So for example, it's let's say like your business is McDonald's. Whenever McDonald's is going to open in a new city or in a new street, maybe they're going to have like 15 or 20 different McDonald's as very specific places. For me, it's the same with your sales rep. As you're growing, your team, can be independent businesses. And the way you can build your sales team is like a franchise. So it's like everyone is owner of their own shit. You need to make them understand that. But once they know and they have their perimeters, they can be full stack. Of course, like they can reach out, they understand the perimeters, they understand who they need to talk to, what type of content they should write to position themselves as thought leaders, build these relationships, and then close. And once you have that, it's if you perceive your business a bit like the example I just gave with a franchise and things like that, I think it works well.
That's a nice way of putting it. I can literally imagine what it looks like with McDonald's franchising. But I can imagine, do you use individual targets for every salesperson?
No,
for their own franchise?
No, I don't put targets. We put targets, but we don't really care about them. Meaning that we say that, okay, this is what should be reached, but if it's not, there is no issue. And the bonus comes down to, so this year, for example, we gave at the end of the year about $500,000, a bit more, to the team, and everyone got the same bonus. It's just that we gave the same bonus to the dev, to the support, to the sales, etc. So we prefer paying like a higher salary for sales rep, because again, once you're doing sales, it's a tough job. It comes down to many things. It's not only like your skills of booking meetings. It comes down to sometimes, like the external factors. You could be, in an area where for some reason the person you reach out to are in a bad mood, so they're not going to be able or they might have it's interpersonal skills. And sometimes even the best sales rep have also times where they are a bit down. You feel like crap for some reason, you have some personal things going on, etc., etc. So it's the toughest job because it requires you to be if you want to be the top performer all time, you need to be 100% of your energy every single day, which is for most people impossible. And to do so, it's I feel like when you put this quota and when you put all these numbers, etc., etc., you forces people to take shortcuts, because you understand that it's not possible for someone to be at 110% every single day. And because people are motivated by these things of number, hitting a quota, etc., they will take shortcuts. They would try to close a deal with someone that's not a fit. They would try to do all these type of things, which is not what you want. What you want is having a sales team that are really, taking care of your users and the clients that they onboard, that they are able to tell them, okay, no, you're not a good fit. Just because what you want is to have clients that will see the most potential, the most benefit in your product or service. And if you can have that, then it makes a lot of sense, people are not stressed by quotas, they can really focus on these relationships. And because sometimes it happened to me, back in the days, I would see that the person is not a fit. And then, I would just say it. And once you say it, they're like, thanks. But actually, once you explained that I was not a fit, it reminded me that, I have these two other companies like I work with, etc. We're looking for something like yours. So I'd love to do an intro, etc. And boom, then you have like two super qualified intros that you can close. This is business karma. It doesn't happen all the time, of course, but when it does, that, when you do the right thing, you're always rewarded down the line. It's not always like this, instantly, but down the line, you will.
Yeah, it's very true. I think the last couple episodes, it always came to mind or was said that sales is really a people thing. You said it as well. And when you're talking to a human and you are human, good things come your way. Even if it's not a fit, you better say it's not a fit, because then you will earn the respect. And if they move to another business and they can make use of Lemlist, for example, they will come back to you because they remember you. That's very true. And on the other side, if you close people that are not a fit and you have a not very nice conversation with them, what you often notice is that once you close them, they become a pain in the ass because they have all sorts of strange questions and all that sort of stuff. And then you say, I thought it wouldn't be a fit. Now I have this. Awesome. Now, your sales team, full stack. I call it full stack salespeople to do everything. But do they also do the account managers once it's closed? Do they keep in touch with the clients, or how does that go with you?
For us, it's not. We are initially we're like a self-service tool, meaning that obviously we don't really have any account manager. But the truth is, once they've been onboarded and they get on well with the sales rep, yes, they get in touch from time to time, but it's not something that takes them a lot of time. It's more like casual chat, and it's just because the truth is, when you build your network, you're going to meet with really cool people, and down the line, they might come back and ask you questions. For me, that's exactly the same with the full stack. And the way people, whenever they have issues and do the way we do our account management, if we had to call it that way, it's really about people having questions, and then the questions being answered directly by our support team. So everyone in our support team actually worked in sales for years before they joined support. So they know the ins and outs, they know sales prospecting, they are outbound expert, they can give advices, etc. So it's really key also.
Yeah. Basically, it's more than a support. It's somebody actually also thinks a little bit with you, like you could solve it like this or that. That way you take a little bit of pressure away from the sales team, because I can imagine at some point you reach your ceiling where you have new accounts that you need to be focused on, but you also have closed accounts that you need to focus a little bit on. So then it gets all over the place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea is that, truth to be told, once people are well onboarded, they shouldn't come back to you to ask you questions. And if they do it, it's mainly because they have something top of mind that is more about strategy and they want to brainstorm. But in the end, it doesn't take a lot of time to our team.
Yeah, great. Do you think it also works well for junior profiles, or that have never done anything in sales, so you need to learn basically every step of the full stack sales process? Do you do that with juniors?
I think it can work if they are natural. Some people are natural, for them helping others is just in their gene. They understand it. It's easy. They have good interpersonal skills, and they are grinders. So they're ready, to spend time on people's profile, find icebreakers, do all these things. Yes, it can work, but it's definitely 10 times more difficult rather with someone who's been through the SDR, NAE, and then that got frustrated because maybe they thought that the person they were meeting were not actually really qualified, or maybe they thought that, when they were doing SDR work, that the AE was not closing enough and they wanted to go all in. So it's really from all this frustration, I feel that the new model of full stack sales came up, and we see people who are killing it, really, and it's much more efficient when it comes to also profitability and all these things. So it's definitely something to try out. It doesn't work for every single business. If you do enterprise deal, it's definitely not something that I would recommend, but for SMBs and self-service, short sales cycle, etc., it's definitely something you want to try out.
Yeah. Do you have a self-service part of Lemlist, right? So you can go to the website and upgrade and that sort of stuff. Where's your focus between pushing people to a flywheel approach, like you touchless, and the outbound? How do you tackle that? Which type of companies do you put on outbound then?
Yeah, for outbound, it's a good question. For outbound, we just focus on the bigger ones. So we're going to focus really on the one that have more than 10 sales rep, really like the bigger teams, and essentially the one bringing more value. Because in the end, you always need to understand and do things in a ROI driven way. So how many people, how much money are they going to bring, how much time does it take to close a deal, etc., etc., and then see whether or not what you're spending is bringing more money or not, and is it like ROI positive. And if you focus on like very small accounts, you're going to spend a lot of energy to close something that's going to bring you like $50 per month. It's not going to be like giving you a positive ROI for sure.
No, indeed. So you would say, you inside Lemlist or as advice, you would say if your ticket price is below 200 euros a month, for example, don't bother about it. Make a self-service tool that can take care of that part of it, and then put your rest into your sales team.
Yeah, it depends the stage of your business as well. Mm-hmm. Because if you're just starting, I feel like outbound is still like the best way to grow, because it will allow you to meet with the right people, get these connections, and just get started. Because with building like a fully self-service product and scaling it, it takes a lot of time, and at first you need to go get your users. But this you should always do a bit of both and focus, because for example, let's say you have a software that costs like $200 or $100 per month. But let's say that this $100 actually, when people join, or when a certain type of people, let's say that companies or companies with 50 plus people in it, whenever they are customers of yours, when they stay, they stick for, let's say, 36 months or something like that.
Yeah.
So their lifetime value is really huge. Maybe, or it's quite huge. So maybe what you want to do is actually focus much more on this one, because you know that each customer is going to bring you like 3,600 euros, and 3,600 euros, if you can close 10 of them per month, which is not huge. If it's a self-service, means fast sales cycle, then it means that each sales rep is bringing 36K every time they're doing this, which is quite good. Then your ROI totally change. So what matters is not just like the ACV, but it's also like the lifetime value and really spotting like the right customers.
Yeah, great. Cool. I got one more question for you, the last one. And it's something totally else, but I ask it to every guest. If tomorrow I tell you, Guillaume, here's a billboard, what would you put on it and why? Not marketing related.
I think I would put do things that you shouldn't, which is something, we've really been doing since day one. So our second employee was a videographer, so someone working on the video side. We hired after 1 million in ARR only people who were like junior and who had no prior experience, which is also something that people were telling me not to do it. We worked on multiple projects when people actually tells you like to actually focus, man, Lemlist is growing so fast. Why would you start something else? I feel like in the end, you need to do all these things that you shouldn't, and do your own things, like make your own mistakes and live your own life. It's your company, your rules. I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and now you can also say, told ya. Great. So Guillaume, thanks a lot for your time. It was a nice conversation to learn more about one of the persons behind Lemlist. And
thanks a lot, Bram. I really had a good time. And if people want to reach out to me, I'm usually on LinkedIn answering all messages.
Great. Thanks a lot for your time, Guillaume.
Thank you.